What is going on, guys? It's Weds with another Destiny 2 video, and today we are going to talk about the hunter. Now, what you're seeing in the background play here is the hunter telling the boss, I dare you to kill me. Now, you've seen so many videos on YouTube about Titan and Warlock being unkillable. I even have one of my Titan being unkillable as well, but nobody really talks so much about the hunter because you know the hunter is not always able to take some damage. But today I'm going to show you a build that can make the hunter invincible. I know there are plenty of video online, but a lot of them are different. What we're doing today is different from a lot of people. In any case, what we are using to make this happen is one of these exotics for the hunter that nobody really uses anymore. They forget about this exotic, and this exotic is the Frosties. Now, I know you want to know how I make all this happen, so I am going to show you what we are using to make this happen. So let's go into the character screen, and then I'm going to show you. Of course, we are using Solar 3.0, and then let's go into the class. So we are using Blade Barrage, but you can use Gunslinger or whatever, Golden Gun, if you want to. But Blade Barrage does a lot of damage in this meta, in this season, so it is the obvious choice. Now, as far as the abilities that we're using, you can choose whatever you want, but this is what we're using. We're using the Gambler's Dodge, and then the Jump, and then we're using the Knife Trick. And then I chose to use the Thermite Grenade because it is a very good grenade. But you can use the other ones if you so choose. You can even use the Healing Grenade if you want. But we are going to use this because we're using one of the mods that this will work with. And then now, as far as the aspect, we are using On Your Mark, and we are also using Knock Him Down. Now, the reason that we are using those is because this one aspect give you 3 slots for fragments, whereas if you were to use the Gunpowder Gamble, then you only have 1. So we're taking advantage of trying to use as many fragments as possible, and then also use Knock Him Down. Now, I'm not going to read what they do, so when you check it out, you'll know exactly what they do, and you know exactly why we are using what we are using, because they make the most sense. And as far as the fragments that we are using Ember of Char. This is just come available a couple days ago, and we are using the Ember of Empyrean. Now, with this, it makes the build what it is, but we lose -10 resilience, so we got to make it out somehow. This is the reason why using the aspects that we are using, we can make it out, and also some of the mods that we are going to use. And then we're also using Ember of Torches, also using Ember of Singeing, and Ember of Wonder. Now, the reason why we're using Ember of Wonder is not much for the +10 resilience, because as I say, we lose 10 resilience here, so we're trying to get it back here. But you feel free to use whatever other fragments that you want, whatever you feel like you need to use, then you should be fine. Now, let's go to the weapons and the mods that we are using so you can see why this is good. All right, for the weapons, you have other options, but Witherhoard is the play here. Now, the reason why Witherhoard is pretty good for this build is because of the mod that we are using. It is Explosive Wellmaker, and Witherhoard can do that very good. So that's why we are using this. But feel free to use something else. You can also use a fusion rifle if you so choose. Like I say, Witherhoard is the best option. Now, for our energy weapon, we are using the Callous Minotaur, although you don't have to use this, but it makes a lot of sense, and it is very good, especially with the perks that we have with this Callous Minotaur. We have Unrelenting and also Incandescent. Those are 2 very good perks, and this is what you're gonna need if you want to use the Callous Minotaur. Of course, this is not the only option. There are some other options that you can use. So if you decide that you don't want to use the Witherhoard and you have the Vex Mytho class, this is gonna be a very good option because that is one of the better weapons in the game. And also some other option, you can use a lot of other options. You can use Jotun if you so choose, and then yeah, you got plenty of options. Now, as far as the power weapon, we are using a linear fusion rifle. If you have a legendary linear fusion rifle, this is going to be very good for the boss damage in this dungeon. Now let's move over to the armor and the mods that we are using. So for the helmet, we are using a void helmet. It doesn't have to be the helmet that has to be void. You need one void armor at least. That way you can use the protective light. Now protective light is one of the better mods in the game that can give you some protection. Even though it is nerfed, but it is still very viable. It is still very good. And you know, the hunter can be very squishy, so the more resistance that you can have, the better it is going to be for you to be able to tank all those damage that we talked about. And so that's why we are using the void helmet or a void piece of armor. And then we are using unquenchable thirst. This one is because we are using one of the weapon that has the 2XS origin trait. I'm going to show you real quick. The Callous Minotaur has this on there. It's got the 2XS and it says final blows with this weapon while super is full, grant a bonus to strength and discipline for a moderate duration. So it's synergized with the build. So back to the helmet. And then we are also using the linear fusion rifle because for our power weapon, we're gonna need to find ammo for the fusion rifle so we can do boss damage. And then we need that resilience for this season. Resilience got a buff. So in any build, everybody have to use 100% resilience because you get that 40% damage resistance. This is the reason why we are able to tank all this damage in the dungeon and any other place. So trying to find resilience everywhere you can find it and then get it to 100 and you will be good to go. Now move on to the arms. Now for the arms, you can use a lot of options because, you know, if you're not gonna deal with champion, you can change a lot of things, but you know, it is there, so it doesn't make any difference, but just do it accordingly. And then we are using explosive well maker. That's the reason why I was talking about the wither horde and any other thing that can explode that can give you those elemental wells. So your grenades and all that stuff will be working to give you those elemental wells. And then again, you know, the resilience. And for our chest piece, we are using seeking wells. So you need a arc chest piece, that way you can use those. Now you don't have to use this, it's a matter of preference, but this works very good because whenever you make wells, you don't have to go seek the well will come to you. Depends on the distance that you are, so it makes things a lot easier for us. That's why we use that, but you can switch that for something else if you want. Now as far as other resistance, we're using the concussive dampener. I always use this in my build, but you can decide to put an arc resistance mod because we also using the armor of the dying star from their artifact, seasonal artifact. That way we get the void and solar damage resistance, so you can add some arc, that way you can be better prepared. But I'm using concussive dampener because it works out. And then more resilience. And then this is the exotic for the build. This exotic is an exotic that people don't use very often. You mostly see it on PvP game and stuff like that, but it is a very good exotic for what we're trying to do here. Now, this is what it does. Very simple. It says rapid cooldown, increased grenade, melee, and dodge regeneration while sprinting. Dodging increase your sprint speed. So basically, you always have to be on the move. And in this game, especially in places like the dungeon, you're always on the move. So you're always gonna be using this. So that's why this exotic makes the build very good. Because when you get those regeneration, then it helps you with your class ability. And when we are using our class ability, you will see exactly why this is important. And this exotic is a neutral exotic. You can use it for any subclass. And that's why this makes sense for this build. Don't throw this away. If you don't have one, try to get one. It is very good. And then you probably don't ever need to use any other exotic if you use this in your build. Now, let's go to the class item to see why we are using this exotic, why it makes it very good. So, you know, with the artifact mod, classy restoration, it says activating your solar class abilities grants you restoration. And that's the dodge. So whenever we dodge, we got restoration. This artifact mod synergizes very well with the fragment Ember of Empyrean, as well as our Callous Minotaur, because we are killing stuff with the Callous Minotaur. Now, as you can see what the Ember of Empyrean does, Solar Weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. That's why this synergizes very well. So when you read this, you'll see exactly what it does and why we are using it the way that we are using it. Now, there is one important aspect of this build I want to highlight, and it's the fact that we are using two different mods to take advantage of Charge with Light. The first one is taking charge, which is right here, which you got to pick up orbs to become Charged with Light. And then with those Charged with Light, that helps us proc Protective Light. And we are also using Elemental Charge. And with Elemental Charge, you have to pick up wells to get Charged with Light. And with those Charged with Light, you also proc Protective Light, which means anytime we pick up orbs or we pick up wells, then we are covered. That's one important aspect of this build. Now, for the gameplay loop for this build, it's very simple. So you can do it in any sequence that you want, but the main thing is you have to use your restoration. Now, to use the restoration, you have to dodge. So basically what I do, I just throw out my Ritter Hood and also throw out my grenade when I start, and then I dodge. Once I dodge, I got restoration time 2. Now, every time I kill anything with my Callous Mini Tool or a Solar Weapon, then I get increase restoration. So you can keep doing that until your restoration is as high as possible. That makes you unkillable. As long as you keep killing stuff, you'll be fine. So, and then you keep running around or just moving around, then you'll be able to get your dodge back as fast as possible. So you will never really not having a dodge available. So that's why this exotic makes the build so good. And that's basically all there is to it. So as you can see, I can clear this room all by myself and then get to boss damage and stuff like that, and you will be good to go. Now, if you're playing with other people, then it makes it a lot easier. So anyway, guys, that's all there is to it for this build. There's not much to it. Hopefully you give it a try. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys later.